the term HRD, Human
Yeah.
Resource Department, was first in L&T, in the whole
Yes.
of country. So that is where the focus is on HR right from beginning, and most of the concepts in HR have been introduced in L&T.
But now, when I keep hearing so much about L&T, had I joined as a management training, I would have been part of your team by now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So one is the visionaries who built such a organization from great foundations. The way you mentioned, buildings and machinery might be there, but it is actually people who bring the soul into the whole thing. But my related question is, many organizations struggle to sustain these initiatives. One visionary, one great leader, they actually think and they start. But what wonderful thing that I notice in L&T is the way you're able to sustain several initiatives over the years. How is it possible, sir? How do you make it happen? I'm sure there's a great learning for many organizations to learn from you. So one is the visionaries who built such a organization from great foundations. The way you mentioned, buildings and machinery might be there, but it is actually people who bring the soul into the whole thing. But my related question is, many organizations struggle to sustain these initiatives. One visionary, one great leader, they actually think and they start. But what wonderful thing that I notice in L&T is the way you're able to sustain several initiatives over the years. How is it possible, sir? How do you make it happen? I'm sure there's a great learning for many organizations to learn from you.
Yeah, but it is one of these systems process which is available in the organization, which is highly driven by systems and processes and the people. And in fact, to be just thinking on the feet, we had an OD initiative
Mhm.
by a professor called Somnath Chatterjee. He's a very, very,
Right,
very,
right.
very renowned person
Correct.
who was with IIM and then XLRI and he was with ISAPS and all. So one that was the he is no more. Some 5 years or
Yes.
6 years back he
Yeah.
expired. So 27 years we were having a OD initiative under Mr. Somnath Chatterjee. That is
Mm.
the top leaders of each of the division. We go for an outbound discuss. It's a totally different experience, like a lab, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
bring in a culture of octopus, openness, caring, trust, transparency, etc. And that precluded that. So always people were put in the front, and certain very clear value systems of honesty, integrity, customer, innovation, creativity. This is continuously driven. So every time I have seen most of the leaders whom I have worked with, or yes, definitely there's a task and people orientation. I find the people orientation high. So the culture of caring, trust, continuous learning, which is in the DNA of the organization. So uh, whatever may be the difficulties, whatever may be the need for reducing cost, I have never seen any time the cutting on training or people development, etc. So it is a people driven organization. Maybe it is there is no owners here, including the board of directors or the people who have
Yeah.
grown from the so it is 100% professionally managed organization. So that may be the reason that we are able to sustain and take this
Mm.
culture of people orientation
Right.
over the years. Although around 80-85 years now, still we that is in the DNA of the organization.
No, this is a great example how certain things, when they become part of the cultural DNA,
Yeah,
generations may pass, but the
yeah,
culture doesn't change. And so it is handed over as a pattern to the next generation and they
yeah,
sustain it.
yeah,
It's a beautiful example and great case study, sir.
yeah.
Now, just a very divergent kind of a question. Um, there are organizations which are financially successful, they also keep growing. And when we take a dip into that, not many boast of great HR practices. So they get people, they make them perform, and they do business and they do very well. But as a case study, if you want to really look back, there are no great people management processes and all of that. So that is where sometimes this question comes. So businesses can survive, they can be profitable, they can keep growing even without strong HR practice. Some people put these two kind of examples. There are L&Ts of the world, and there are those other kind of companies which are also growing. So how do we see this as an HR leader?
Sir, I don't know whether in the past they were able to survive, but in the current and the future, unless your people orientation is there, it is very difficult to
Okay.
sustain the growth. So I strongly believe in that the three P's to be balanced, whether it is people, profit, or the planet. So today that is another area of focus. So definitely they can, if it is only task focus and if it is on profits, it may be short lived, it cannot continue for a further. And today, with the amount of the competition, the amount of the growth prospects available, unless you care for the people, unless there is an emotional bonding and there's a purpose and there's an attachment of the employees with the organization, it is very, very difficult for you to retain talent. And talent is going to be the differentiator today. Talent and technology is going to be the differentiator. Again, technology is based on talent. So only one and only thing which will differentiate an organization and a sustained growth will be the quality of the talent and the engagement of the talent and how you take care of the talent. So yes, profit may be important, but at the same time, how you look at the people, that will make the sustained growth. I'm very, very clear about it. No doubts
Right.
at all.
Right, right. So things can happen so long they are happening, but you can't guarantee any success, continued success with
Yes.
the changing environment and changing landscape of talent. So I think that's a
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
touch of warning actually from
Talent as well as the
leadership.
environment and the
Environment
environment.
as well. Environment as well. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. So now, sir, I think you being at the helm of affairs in terms of the people responsibility for the entire L&T group with the diverse businesses. I think many budding HR leaders will be very curious to learn from you that a CHRO sitting at that level in the organization, how do you actually figure out your priorities, where to focus on? Because looks like you are at the helm of affairs, you can pick up anything and then get busy about it, but you need to be very consciously prioritizing and picking up your focus areas. How does that happen? Your thought process of a CHRO at that level.
So that is again, it is the continuous interaction with the business.
Okay.
So when you continuously discuss with your CEOs and the IC heads of the different businesses, we understand that the priorities. And if the overall thing, when I look at today, the not only for L&T or for me, for every CHRO today, the first and foremost is the talent, getting the right talent. Okay.
Okay.
Um, First is getting the right talent for today as well as sustaining for the future. Okay. So the next will be the building a talent pipeline. So to first ensure that today you have the key positions filled with the right talent, then also ensure that there is a leadership pipeline available. And third area, it's also associated with this is continuous skilling and reskilling and multi-skilling of your people to raise the bar. That means a lot of things are changing in terms of technology, in terms of digitalization, in terms of analytics. So many things are happening. So the entire skill sets are changing. So how do you reskill them? That is the next priority. Is almost everything is same, but in a different buckets. Get the talent, get the pipeline, ensure that the skilling, reskilling, multi-skilling of this happens. This is the in the value chain is that again the succession planning part of it. So the talent is one big bucket. Another area which I feel today to be sustained is the productivity. How do you enhance the productivity of your employees? You cannot keep on adding people, adding talent in order to be cost effective, in order to be bringing technology, in order to digitalization. How do you increase the productivity? I've been seeing not only with L&T, many organizations. Uh, the rate and growth which productivity is not growing. If you discount it for the inflation numbers, we are almost remaining same or going slightly tapering. So it has to go up with the amount of bringing in technology, digitalization, etc.
Right.
So the next focus area is how do I bring in the
Productivity.
increased productivity. The
Okay.
third bucket is the employee engagement and retention. That includes the wellness, employee engagement at every touch point. All those areas comes into. So getting the talent, then talent development and succession planning, improving their productivity, and then for me the employee. These are the three broad
Sure.
buckets which we should focus on.
Hmm. No, this is an interesting combo. I mean, one is the talent piece we mentioned. Of course, L&T has some wonderful practices of building the talent pipeline. I mean, I know about your assessment centers and how you really keep choosing people, invest in them in terms of training, coaching, and so many initiatives. That's a talent piece. The other two that you mentioned, which is productivity and engagement. On one side, you are actually pushing people to perform better. On the other
Yeah.
side, you're caring for them. So it's a very
Yes.
nice striking a
Yeah.
balance, right, between these two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think HR should be very consciously balancing between these two,
Balancing this.
productivity
Yeah.
plus engagement.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
amazing, amazing.
How do you build a
Right.
trust and
So,
transparency is the most important aspect
right.
in the whole game.
Right. And many leaders, when I talk to the business leaders or functional leaders, one of their frequently asked questions is, these days most of those young talent are so nimble, they're so agile, they just keep moving, they just keep jumping. They want variety, they don't want boredom, they don't want hard work. When they are like that, why should we focus so much on their wellness and engagement and all of that? So this is one of the dilemmas that they keep facing. When they are so selfish, why should I be caring? I will also try to squeeze more work in the short period that they are with me. So what kind of advice we can give it to such business managers?
That will not. It's all interconnected. Your wholehearted contribution by as employee, that is his that is engagement level, goes up with an all-rounded approach. It's just by squeezing and making a payment that I don't think that will work out. Today it is we talk about the total compensation. It is not the monetary compensation in terms of wellness, in terms of engagement, in terms of learning opportunity, in terms of career growth. At least they want to know after 5 years where I am going to be there, after 10 years where I am going to be there. And they also wanted to know, if I have to be there after 5 years, what is that I have to do today, what type of skills and competencies I should acquire. So we should also provide, not only tell them what is required, we should also help them to acquire those skills and competencies to move up. In addition to this wellness, everything is taken, then it is the total area is taken care of. So if you are only focusing on to here and now, and then they don't see a future after 5 years, then they will necessarily look out and when you go into a different direction.
So I mean, this now hints me that most of the business managers or project managers or functional leaders, they also need to possess a lot of people management skills, understanding them, engaging with them, counseling them, career guidance, feedback. A lot of people skills. I think it's just not the functional skills. I think in the rapid pace of this talent and engagement and all of that, I think functional leaders cannot be just functional experts. I think they need to master the
It
people
it
skills.
has to, it has to be. It is not only not 50%. It is more than that. It is required. Today we are focusing on including a 270-degree feedback for all of the immediate superiors under 5 dimensions. One is the personal excellence, how they act as
Okay.
a uh, na- then the relationship excellence, how they deal with their subordinates, how they deal with their peers,
Right.
and all those things. And
Okay.
next, we talk about performance excellence. How do they fix their goals? How do they make it measurable? How do they give feedback and etc. in terms of performance? Next is the development excellence. How do I develop not only uh, get work from them? How do I going to develop those people? Finally, the leadership excellence. So we are looking at the 5 dimensions of people management. That is personal excellence, relationship excellence, performance excellence, development excellence, and then leadership excellence. So,
Okay.
and based on the growth path of the individual career path, certain parameters becomes more important. At the initial stage, it is personal excellence and relationship excellence. When you move little further as an immediate superior or a department head, in addition to this, it becomes your um, uh, performance excellence, uh, as well as the development excellence comes. When you're
Right.
at a senior level, all the five accounts. So accordingly, we have training interventions, assignments, etc., to give them
Okay.
feedback as well as to develop those people. So we give a lot of importance on people management. And
Fantastic.
today, at a very senior level, if one person has to lead out of the two, I think one is extremely good at a task and another is extremely good at people. And I think the people person will move up than the task.
Mhm,
Today's
mhm, mhm, mhm.
you
But
need
that's a
people. Yeah,
yeah, that's a beautiful insight. Anyone listening, I think, can learn that if you want to really grow in your responsibilities in the
yeah.
hierarchy, people skills and that excellence is going to be the differentiator. Yeah,
Differentiator. That will be
yeah,
the
absolutely.
differentiator.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think functional expertise definitely is a threshold. I mean, you must have it,
yeah,
but
yeah.
what differentiates you is the people
People.
management skills.
Yes,
Yeah, so
yes.
that's a beautiful insight, sir. Yeah. Now, one quick thing about these HR landscape. Lot of talk has been happening about how technology is going to revolutionize HR, uh, the recruitment process and the induction process and the HRIS and so many things. Do you see a very dramatic change shifts in the HR practices and to such an extent that some HR roles may turn extinct?
So you have to build those skills. Uh, Otherwise, you will become extinct setup. If you look at as a businessman or as a owner or as a CEO, and then you will align all the priorities of HR.
So, on one side, you're saying I have wisdom I'm willing to share. On the other side, I'm also a learner. I can learn it from youngsters as well.
Whenever there's support, there's a lot of unions are there, so
Right.
we get cascaded into that.